How's everybody doing tonight? Good. I'm John. I'm from Career Source Tampa Bay. I wish I was going to talk about making lunch great again. Wherever he is, that was awesome, by the way. But I'm going to talk about some challenges as it relates to our workforce and some of the things we need to do to address those. So I'm going to talk about 4 buckets, really. First, who lives and works here now and in the future? Jobs for today, tomorrow. Are we future ready for the skill set we teach our workforce? And how do we identify those gaps and how do we fix those gaps? So those are really the 4 things that I'm going to talk about. So if you look back at your screen, you look at some of the demographics of the Tampa Bay area. A little over 3.1 million people, a little less than 1.4 million jobs, average income at about 50,000, a little bit give or take. So lots more people, lots more jobs. We need to work on the income a little bit, and that'll come. Further expanding on that, looking at our total working age population and a challenge that we face as it relates to labor force participation rate, and we'll talk a little bit about more of that, in a few seconds as the slides go. So again, you're talking about a massive increase in population. This area is a population destination. So in the last 5 years, 9.2%. They project another 6%. That's about 500,000 people in 10 years. So it's fantastic from a talent perspective. So we're here. The region, Tampa MSA, it's a fairly large region. Hillsborough County in and of itself is enormous. And then you take that region around the Bay, it's even bigger. And you look at that increase in population, 12.5, almost 12, a little bit more than 12.5%. So talked about the people here, talk about the jobs a little bit. What are the jobs today? You'll see on the list where we exceed the national average. You'll see where we trail the national average. Some good news in that as it relates to automation versus augmentation of human capital. And then you're looking at kind of what some of the job growth is. Office administration, sales, healthcare, shocker, we need more healthcare workers. I'm sure nobody's ever heard that before. And where we trail some of the national averages. So again, there's some silver lining to that. Talked a little bit about that labor force and the labor force participation rate. Our region is about a little bit less than 57.5%. The national average, guys, is about 62%. So that compounds the problem. More people, less people working in the region. So that makes it difficult. So when we talk about all that stuff and then we talk about skills, one of the things we do is we analyze job postings in the region and find out from employers what soft skills and hard skills we need. So you're looking at some of the soft skills that are needed versus the frequency and workplace profiles that we scrape. So you see some challenges there. Then you talk about some hard skills. Again, nursing. I'm sure nobody's heard that we have a nursing shortage. That's pretty much everywhere. So not endemic to Tampa Bay, but very similar to the rest of the country. So some challenges there for sure. So all of these things lead to what we call a skill gap. So it's really your supply is lagging your demand. There's much more demand than there is supply in some key industry sectors. Pretty much every key industry sector in the Tampa MSA is experiencing a talent supply shortage. And then further compounding on those skill gaps, what are some of these foundational human skills, business enablers, and digital building blocks that we need? And we see where we lag and where we are doing pretty good. Most of it we lag. And again, not just endemic to the Tampa region, but everywhere. So how do we tackle and address these skills gap, and how do we identify what happens and how it gets there? First thing, we have a talent shortage. It's demographics. The second thing and the big thing is a misalignment of skills. When you talk to employers, the skills that the workforce has aren't what they need in order to be successful in their jobs. So there's 3 things that we can do. We can speed up experiential learning. Somebody talked about apprenticeship and on-the-job training. Can't stress the importance of that and making more opportunity for people to get in the workplace and learn as opposed to just opening a book. Really important that we do that. Second one is to shift focus to individuals. Again, that kind of ties in with the work-based learning theory. It's how do we quantify what you learn in your seat at work and kind of cobble that into a certification that's industry recognized. And thirdly, oops, I'm a little ahead, sorry. Empower vulnerable learners. We talked about it a lot here tonight, but again, this is a demographic thing, so we need to engage those folks re-entering society from incarceration, folks with barriers to employment, our veterans re-entering. It's kind of an all-hands-on-deck approach that we really need to, take hold of. And when we talk about things like automation, we talk about from a low-skilled job perspective, automation is really going to tackle some of those skill gaps. So we need to look at skills and teach skills that are augmentable, not necessarily automatable, to make sure that humans still compete in the workplace. Good news, bad news situation. We have an issue. That's the good news. well, the rest of the world has an issue. That's the good news. We also have that issue. So good and bad news. If by the year 2028, if all of these skill gaps and jobs go unfilled in the world, that's $11.5 trillion of unrealized revenue and unrealized income to people. So we need to do our level best to get moving in the right direction. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.